It's safe to say that Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania blew me away. So much happened over the course of 2 hours that it was almost impossible to think about what I loved the most. So today's video, I wanted to discuss what I think are the 10 best moments of the entire movie. And of course, I also think we are going to have wildly different answers for this, but it also makes it fun. Also, if you are new here to the channel, please consider subscribing to see my future yearly uploads. Starting at number 10, Veb eating Kang minions. A lot of folks might say it made no sense for Veb to be able to create a giant vacuum using a hole in his body, and to that, I disagree. Veb comes from the quantum realm, a fictional dimension with no rules from the real world. Seeing Veb just swallow up the Kang minions blew me away for a few reasons. The sheer size that Veb enlarges into gives a sense of awe. It was even a little disturbing watching how helpless the minions were as he devoured them like there was no tomorrow. The other reason I thought this was incredible was the fact that this moment is an amazing payoff to an earlier scene. Veb asked Scott about his holes in his body after admiring how big his mouth is. He then admits that he doesn't have any holes, and he says it in a sad tone, letting us know that he really wishes for holes of his own. And when the revolution begins, holes are created in him by gunshots. It's actually poetic justice that the holes were created by Kang's minions, because they end up being used to kill them. And the final reason this blew me away was because of the production value. The Veb eating Kang minion scene screamed, "This final battle is going to look remarkable." And for the most part, that remained true. Number 9, the Council of Kangs. This scene is easily one of the scariest, weirdest scenes in Quantumania. And the reason I like this now, as opposed to my initial comments during my review, is that this clearly is setting up a roadmap to the Kang dynasty. It's way too similar and seemingly based off something regarding Kang for it to be mere coincidence at this point. And personally, I like when Marvel gets a bit disturbing. Plus, regardless of what we think this is, something so random like Lizard Kang allows us to partake in fun speculation about what the Kangs are even up to, or their overarching plan as villains. Regardless of how you feel about the MCU, it isn't going anywhere. And just like WandaVision made Multiverse of Madness feel fleshed out and less clunky, Quantumania and other series will set up the necessary history for the Kang dynasty. And I think that's okay. And yeah, like I said, this scene now is just really cool to me. One of the coolest moments in Quantumania. Number 8, Loki and Morbius. The post-credit scene of Quantumania was perfect. Morbius went with Loki to learn about the whereabouts of Victor Timely. Upon the scene progressing, we see a sign that reads, "Victor Timely and his astounding temporal marvels," along with Victor Timely on stage before a crowd of people. Incredible. Loki was my favorite MCU show for basically the past couple of years, until maybe a few months back. So this scene felt like, oh, this is what happened to the remnants of Loki and Morbius from Loki. I thought it was very cool and surprisingly interesting to see these characters on the hunt for more Kangs. And one thing about this too is I love how the movie uses recognizable characters in novel ways to show us how the universe has changed after He Who Remains was defeated. It just keeps pushing things and showing us characters we already know in new situations, which actually makes it feel fresh. Number 7, the Type 2 civilization ants saving the ant family. Earlier in the movie, we got to meet the Type 2 civilization ants, which was very well done. Originally for this ranking, I wanted to talk about the ants saving Hank from the shipwreck and how it turns out they went through a time dilation upon entering the quantum realm. And while that was a very epic scene, a great reveal, the one that really got my blood pumping was when the ant family was saved when faced off against Kang. Kang had just kicked their asses, and it looked like they were goners. But then, Hank and the Type 2 civilization ants dropped in. And I love that Kang was being a smartass with Scott, who is Ant-Man, which is why he yells, "I am Kang, you talk to ants." And then the ants come in to release the fury upon him. It's a very quick scene, but it's a very powerful bit of action. And it doubles down on a no-nonsense approach that the ants have when dealing with people in their way. It also demonstrates to us that an army of ants is not to be underestimated. And beyond that, I just really like more ants in Ant-Man. It's where I want to see the sequel go. I want to see a whole lot of ants helping Ant-Man and the Wasp fight against the next great villain Marvel has in store for us. But yes, the ants saving the ant family's ass from Kang's wrath? Perfection. Number 6. That guy looks like broccoli. When Janet, Hank, and Hope arrive at the Quantum City, at first I was thinking, well, this is a bit strange, but then the situation became super hilarious. Hank notices there are intelligent beings here, and realizes it would change everything humans know about life, evolution, and their place in the galaxy. But then, he sees something off screen and says, holy shit, that guy looks like broccoli. And lo and behold, it is a guy that looks like broccoli. It was super funny to see broccoli guy look at Hank like, what do you need? And I thought that was hilarious. Is it weird that a broccoli guy even exists? Maybe, but it was funny as hell. And he later appears in an inspiring scene where he gets ready to stand up to Kang's minions while hearing Cassie's message. Number 5. The Probability Storm. I'll be very honest here, I've never had an affinity for Rick and Morty. I know they have an episode about probability timelines, but I never thought of it as anything beyond looking cool. But I have to say, the second Quantumania used this concept, having Scott rapidly multiply as he was freaking out, and then all of them using Cassie as their focus to create an Ant-Man hill, was unbelievable. It was over the top insane in one of the most visually pleasing sequences of multiple individuals helping each other. Beyond that, when Hope comes in to help Scott, the awesomeness somehow got turned up to another notch, finally showing us the true camaraderie between Ant-Man and the Wasp. Once the shrinking discs finally penetrated the energy shield and then shrunk the energy core, I instantly went, yup, I freaking love this duo right now. And now, I'm just invested in these two, and I care about what they're going to be up to in Avengers: The Kang Dynasty. I still know nothing about what that movie is going to be, but with a movie like Quantumania, I'm sure that one is bound to please me. Number 4. Ant-Man vs. Kang. A lot of us already speculated that Scott would face Kang in a brutal fistfight, and while that was ultimately the case, how it went down was a feat for the eyes. We have only seen Kang in action via comic books, but now we see him in all his glory in live action, and it was so intense. Kang is a ruthless warrior in hand-to-hand combat, and seemingly very well trained. Scott also showed off some of the most intricate fighting I've seen from this movie, if not the entire multiverse saga films themselves. This duel came off like an immovable object versus an unstoppable force, at least initially, and it's possible that Kang purposefully chose to lose, but that's up for debate. Either way, the duel floored me, and watching both individuals use their combat experience was super fun to watch, and it's a good thing that Kang's tech was damaged by the ants, or Kang might have made quick business of Scott. Number 3. Stature's entrance. Witnessing Cassie finally don her own suit to battle the Kang minions raiding the rebels was perfect. It was one of the best introductions in the MCU. Cassie disappearing from the frame as her dad tries to talk to her immediately gave me the chills, because I knew what was going down. And for myself, the standout part of this was Stature using the shrinking tech to her advantage. She was like a ninja in the night, shrinking to hide herself, then growing back to size to strike again. Stature was like a super demon, if you will, coming in to take you out. Some folks dislike this brutal portrayal of Cassie, however, given her history and the current circumstances, I find this to be a non-issue. This is Stature, a force to be reckoned with, trained by herself, and honestly now, I can't wait to see her with the Young Avengers. Number 2. Krylar's dirty past. Krylar, played by Bill Murray, gave the performance of a lifetime when discussing his dirty little past with Janet. We got to see a side to this character that I completely did not expect. His introduction didn't really give me any reason to latch onto him, beyond the fact that I love Bill Murray, but shortly after, with his history of having intercourse with Janet while she was stuck in the quantum realm, paints him in a brand new light. Beyond that, when Janet asks him for help finding Scott and Cassie, it's clear that this event has brought all of Krylar's lust towards Janet back to the surface, with this entire scene ending in Janet's confession of having sex with Krylar because she thought she was stuck in the quantum realm forever. Plus, this confession viscerally affects Hank. I can't stress enough how well Michael Douglas pulled off being cucked. As a man who has actually seen that in real life, it made me curious about if Michael Douglas actually was cucked, and man, it was a powerful scene to see Hank go, "Well, I actually fucked someone too while you were gone," and Uno reverse cards a woman responsible for thousands upon thousands of innocent people's deaths. As he says at the end, "I got needs too." And finally, number 1, which you probably all guessed, Darren Cross and his return. Darren Cross revealing himself as the mechanized organism designed only for killing blew my mind into 5,000 pieces. Never in a million years did I think this movie would incorporate Darren, and to be honest, initially, I thought it would be a very, very bad idea. I was wrong. This movie showed us Darren Cross, the misunderstood Pym protege, in his prime after Ant-Man. The way he easily threatened Scott and Cassie using his hover chair as if it was just a dance was entrancing, and something I realized that I really did want to see. I will admit, the CGI face of Darren looked a bit scary, but beyond that, I was so pumped. I really appreciated how insane his scenes were. A lot of folks think it makes no sense for Darren to show up, but I disagree now. Being able to see Darren during his prime, leading up to his brief fall as an Avenger, is something explored spectacularly. Darren had so much resentment towards the Ant family. All he wanted in Ant-Man was Hank's approval, and he couldn't get it. Even when he's knocked down, he still wants to fight them, but it isn't until Cassie tells him to stop being a dick that he learns he doesn't need to fit anyone's mold. He just doesn't have to be a dick. And Darren switching sides is what allows the ants to get to Kang, leading to his demise. I also thought it was super funny and hilarious seeing his little booty cheeks. I like it when Marvel doesn't shy away from a little toilet humor, no matter how much folks may complain. In my very honest opinion, Darren Cross should get a series that spans about 10 years of his life, so we can see his development into M.O.D.O.K. Some folks may disagree, but I can say this with a smile on my face knowing that Corey Stoll himself agrees with me. So that does it for my top 10 moments from Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. We will all have wildly favorite moments, so I'm excited to see what yours are down below in the comments section. And again, if you are new here, please consider subscribing, leaving a like, and sharing the video around. As always, I love you 3000. Madvocate is signing off.